guys, welcome back to my channel. The case that I'm going to look into today is a missing persons case from quite a while ago. From around the wartime. And yes, I am talking like 1944 kind of thing. So yeah, but to this day, still don't know what happened to him. His name was Richard Marlow, and he was a 9-year-old at the time of going missing in 44. Family still, those who are left, still have no idea what happened to him, and it just breaks my heart. So let's have a look in. Richard Marlow was born on the 9th of February in 1935. His mother was Gertrude and his dad was called John Richard. Lovingly, Richard was nicknamed Pee-wee because he was so short. And he was actually the youngest of 5 siblings, so they had 6 children total. At the time of Richard actually going missing, John was stationed in the army. He was there with his 2 eldest children, which left his mother to look after the remaining 4 children. Now, going back to Richard, as I said, he was the youngest. He was a little bit shy, but he was just a lovely little lad. He was also really well behaved. He never liked being late, so he would be the first one out the door to go to school. And he never complained about anything, you know, like going to school and stuff, not bothered, just would go. No arguments, no fuss, basically. On the 18th of July in 1944, the family had a plan, okay? So a lot of them were going out to see this movie, his mother included. And Richard had actually seen the picture before, like the week before, I think. Somewhere along those lines. But anyway, he'd already seen it, so he didn't want to go and watch it again, which is fair enough. So Richard decided that he would rather stay at home with one of his brothers, and his brother Gerald would watch over him. Sort of keep an eye on him. Everything would be fine. That's what they thought. But Richard had actually been to the shops earlier, I believe, with some friends. They get back home, and he decides that he's going to go out on his sister's bike. And he's riding it up and down the street. Gerald's keeping a bit of an eye on him. And, you know, he's just out. It was still light at the time, so he's just out having fun and enjoying himself. Then skip 2 hours later when his mother comes home and Richard isn't there. The bike is on the ground in the garden, just laying there. There's no Richard in sight. So she goes inside. She asks Gerald where Richard is. He says that he was out on his bike, but he didn't really know where he was right now. He hadn't seen him. And immediately his mother knew that that was not like Richard at all. You know, there was something strange going on. She was really worried and she reported Richard missing to the police straight away. And so the searches began. Gertrude was out. His father, John Richard, came back from he was stationed out in the army. He came back. His son was missing, so he wanted to help. So he got leave or whatever it is. I'm not entirely sure. And he's out looking as well. There's volunteers, the police are all out there. Everyone is out searching, including all his family and siblings and friends, for this little boy, Richard, who was just 9 years old at the time. Now, the problem is that they had literally nothing to go on. Absolutely nothing. This was the 40s. Nobody had seen anything. No, not one witness. Nothing. Richard, it was as if he was just poof, vanished into thin air. He was just gone, and that was it. Nobody saw him, nobody knew anything, nobody knew nothing. So of course, in these cases, it's very difficult to find out information when nobody knows anything. It's like, what do you even do? The police tried, they looked, they searched rivers, trees, woods, everything, anywhere. They put his description out, the last clothes that he was wearing, anything that they could to try and get information on Richard. And his family didn't give up either. They was out there, they were looking, and years would go by and they heard nothing about Richard. Now, if there was ever a John Doe in the morgue or whatever, in the hospital, they would ring up Richard's family if this person matched the description of Richard. and the family would come in. They would look at the body. No, it's not Richard. Off they went again. They did this numerous times over and over because they wanted to know. They wanted to know if Richard was still out there, or if he wasn't anymore, then they wanted to find him, and they wanted to finally lay him to rest in the plot that they had for him. I'm so sorry about this cat. Come here. Come here. It's okay. You've been very whingy, haven't you? Hmm? Yeah. I know. Whinge back. Very meowy today. Now, despite this happening over and over and over again, none of the bodies ever found, none of the John Does ever found were ever Richard. Over the years, psychics would reach out to them and people, but sadly they could never afford to actually hire them, you know, and I mean, it's your opinion whether you believe anything along those lines. Personally, don't believe it one little bit. That's just my opinion. I don't have a bias against anyone that thinks that, you know, maybe a psychic has a connection to the other side. Just that personally, I don't. I'm not sure whether the family believed it or not, but sadly they couldn't afford the costs involved in it, and so they that never happened for them. But despite that, Gertrude and John would just try and do everything they could to find Richard. They had him out in the public whenever they could, just hoping somebody had seen something, that there was one person out there who knew or had seen Richard or had even the tiniest piece of information that could help them find their son. But it never came. And despite them never giving up, they never give up on him. Even to this day, his family, his extended family, have still not given up on finding Richard. And I mean, at this point, he would be like, okay, I don't know the exact age, but 86 or something along those lines. You know, if he was to still be alive now, I think it was 86. He was born in 35, and we're now in 24, which is, you do the math, okay? He would be quite elderly at this point, basically. But it's not impossible if nothing bad happened to him, which his family didn't actually think. Gertrude for a long time thought that he was out there somewhere and he just lost his memory and he was just living out in the streets or something and he just didn't know who he was, which is entirely possible. It's just a bit strange that he went missing off his bike and that was that, you know. But people have been kidnapped, children taken into a family, being brainwashed to think that they are this person and they don't know they're actually this person and they never knew. So he could have lived a full life out there. Who actually knows? Or he could have met foul play. But yeah, she believed that for a very long time. And, you know, if that was the case and he was still alive today, then he would be quite elderly. Sadly, 10 years after he went missing, at the age of about 50, I think, Gertrude did pass away. All her family said that she was beyond heartbroken after losing Richard, and she basically died of losing her son eventually because it just fully broke her, which is so sad. And then John would pass away in 1973, so both his parents have sadly passed away at this point. I believe as well that a lot of his siblings have passed away too. Correct me if I'm wrong, there's either one or two of them left at this point. And I know one of his brothers actually has given a DNA sample in the hopes that maybe 50 years from now, someone will find Richard, his remains somewhere, something, and he can finally be identified to be the part of the family. And they have a plot for him. They have a plot waiting there. Just in the hopes that one day that may happen. Even despite after maybe his brother actually passing on, he just wants it in the database just in case. Which, yeah, completely agree with that. Now, I do think that one of his nieces or cousins or something along the extended family line got really interested. I think it was a niece actually, because I'm sure they mentioned in a video. I have watched videos on this, but I can't quite remember what it was. Maybe that their uncle, so maybe it was his niece, or it would have been his niece. So anyway, this family members really took an interest in Richard's case, and they continue the legacy of looking for him. Do you know what I mean? And hopefully it will continue to go down the family line. And I just pray that one day he is found. Sadly, you know, it's too late for his parents to ever know what happened to him. And most of his siblings at this point, but I just really hope that one day he is reunited with his family, because despite not never being able to be reunited in life, maybe they can finally be reunited in death and be placed in the same plot and things, which is what his family want. So yeah, I really hope that one day this happens. It's just so shocking that a 9-year-old can just vanish. I mean, this was the 40s. It still happens today. It's not like it doesn't happen. It is insane how often children go missing. The databases and stuff for them are just so many of them. It's absolutely heartbreaking. But he was outside riding his bike and then he was just gone. Nobody saw anything. Nobody knew anything. That was it. Just gone. And the police didn't find anything at all. But yeah, there you go. That is the end of this case. If you enjoyed the video, thumbs up. Subscribe to this channel if you want to. If not, fair enough. But yeah, that's the end of the case of Richard Marlow. Thank you so much for watching. And until next time, bye.